Orlando Pirates won this weekend's Nedbank Cup Soweto Derby 2-0. The Blitzboks came third at the Vegas Sevens, and Australia and South Africa are one apiece in their T20 series going into Wednesday's decider at Newlands. You're watching News 24 Live. I'm joined in studio this morning by Sport 24 editor Garen Namley and chief writer Rob Howing to discuss these and more of the weekend's sporting results. Gents, good morning and thanks once again for coming in.
Hi, Nick.
Let's start with Super Rugby, Rob. 4 out of 5 wins for the South African teams. Of course, the Kings having a bye. I suppose the big shock result, or the really sort of impressive result, was the Lions beating the Chiefs, and that's 2 wins on the road.
Absolutely, Nick. I mean, there was no way any of the games that came after it on Saturday, the 3 games back on South African soil, were ever going to eclipse however well the South African teams in the games thereafter had played. That was just a magnificent performance of the weekend, probably across the competition in terms of the shockwave that it caused. Let's not forget that although the Chiefs aren't the defending champions, they're fairly recent champions, and they did it for 2 years in a row. They've still got some very decent personnel, still got some very decent All Blacks, you know, Retalix and Crudens. These are guys who have quite a sort of aura about them, and I don't think most of us would have picked a Superbrew Lions triumph in Hamilton. We were all very happy to take that hit, I think, and I mean, what a delightful game of rugby, because it
unfortunately didn't see it. It was a little bit too early for me.
Yeah, well, you missed a goodie. It was the Lions.
The Chiefs outplayed what?
They went toe-to-toe with them. The truth is that they kind of almost out-New Zealanded them. That was the really gratifying thing to see. It wasn't just one of those hellish defensive performances that South African teams sometimes eke out by some miracle in New Zealand. They actually went toe-to-toe. They played a constructive ball-in-hand game, lots of intensity, fantastic motivation. I mean, Warren Whiteley has really got and Johan Ackerman and company have got a real gees going in that squad. And it was really a magnificent performance. Like it was very ding-dong. It nearly went the other way. At one stage, I thought the Chiefs were ready to take over in a big way, but the Lions have this ability to just keep on, to keep that self-belief running through the veins. And it was really quite pleasing from a South African point of view. It was a kind of fillip that I think our rugby in general needed.
Garen, the Stormers 2 wins on the trot now. The Bulls seem to play some really sort of exciting rugby, and they've sort of made amends for their opening round defeat. The Sharks fans don't seem that enamored with their win over the Jaguars. What did you make of those results?
Well, starting with the Stormers, like you said, 2 wins from 2, can't obviously do any better than that. Bloemfontein has been a bit of a banana peel venue for the Stormers in recent times. So, 2010. On the scoreboard, it actually was, I think, even a little bit closer. I thought, the Cheetahs at least deserved a bonus point, I guess, out of that. Stormers picked up 4 points, didn't pick a bonus point, but they're pretty much in control of their pool. Already after two weeks, they're going to really struggle not to finish top. Something's really going to have to go wrong. It's probably the weakest pool or group of all of them. So, they've got 2 big games coming up: Sharks and Brumbies back to back at Newlands. They've got a fantastic draw this season, the Stormers. If they don't go far in this tournament, there really will be questions asked. And then the Bulls, they'll be kicking themselves a little bit. This new bonus point system they've got in place. The Bulls have scored 6 tries, didn't pick up.
I wanted to talk about that. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
45 points. Normally, you'd think.
Absolutely. Yeah, look,
bonus point in the bag.
It's a strange one. It's a lot of talk about this bonus point. I'm still not 100% sure if it's correct in the way it's been played. You think the Rebels, to their credit, didn't give up, which is what everyone's talking about, this bonus point in promoting running rugby. They scored 4 tries of the
and also encouraging defence as well, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit difficult to put your finger on what it's trying to actually achieve. But like I was saying, the Rebels scored 4 tries of themselves, added to the spectacle, but didn't pick up a bonus point. Normally that they would have. So it's like they're not being rewarded for actually running the ball. If they just rolled over and died, they still wouldn't have scored a bonus point. So I'm not too sure, if it's 100% or it needs a little bit of tweaking. But the Bulls, like you said, back on the winning trail. So they really need to up their game as well after being fairly flat and outplayed by the Stormers at Newlands in week 1. And then the Sharks, that game, I was reading ahead of the match that there were a lot of supporters for the Jaguars heading into that game. Obviously Gary Gold was talking up as a sort of a test match atmosphere with the 13 Argentinian players in that Jaguars team. It wasn't the worst game of rugby ever played, but it certainly wasn't the best. But a win is a win again. The Sharks, for their part, find themselves in a tougher group than the Stormers, with the Jaguars and the Lions. Obviously, Rob mentioned looking really, really good. South Africa only get 3 teams in total across both groups into the quarterfinal stage, and the Jaguars also might have a say in that. So a lot to play for from a South African point of view, but we can't complain after 2 weeks. 4 wins. We only could have had 4 considering there was one derby. So it's almost a perfect full house for South Africa this weekend. So again, as Rob said, something to look forward to in a rather bleak otherwise situation in South African rugby.